Good afternoon, and welcome to the beginning of St. Genevieve's 4th of July celebration. St. Genevieve loves to celebrate its past, especially traditions that go back 200 years, like our La Guillenée on New Year's Eve and the King's Ball. I have to tell you that celebrating the 4th of July also goes back 200 years. The July 4th, 1811 Missouri Gazette, which is the first newspaper in Missouri, reported that St. Genevieve celebrated the 4th of July. It said, pursuant to previous arrangement, a number of respectable citizens, and I guess we have respectable citizens today, of the town of St. Genevieve met at 12 o'clock on a high eminence back of Dr. Elliott's, where an arbor had been prepared for their accommodation. At 2 o'clock, the company sat down to an elegant repast provided for the occasion, after which 18 toasts were drunk, accompanied by the firing of a 9-pounder, one gun to each toast. Now, their first toast was to the day we celebrate. From the earliest period of history, certain days of festivities and celebration have been observed, but none so glorious and beneficial to mankind as the 4th of July. They toasted to the president, to soldiers and sailors, to a whole variety of things, and they were pretty smart. Even though they'd had 18 toasts, the last toast was to the fair ladies of the town. We also had in July of 1876, during the centennial, they had a grand procession through town, the reading of the Declaration of Independence, music by various bands, and speaking by orators. We've also had parades at other times, and it kind of died out over the years of kind of having a patriotic part of the 4th. We enjoyed our families and our picnics and the fireworks and all that, but I think it's always important that we remember what happened 239 years ago, and that's what we're doing here this morning. So I'd like for you to all stand as the VFW Post 2210 posts the colors. We will then have the Pledge of Allegiance and the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Detail, stand up, port, home. Alert, port. Detail, halt. Post colors. Present, home.
Please uncover and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Amy Fisher to sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
Detail, halt! All out.
Just as 239 years ago, when the bells were rung over the city of Philadelphia announcing the signing of the Continental Congress's Declaration of Independence, preparing the Declaration of Independence didn't happen in just a week or so. They had been discussing whether we were going to succeed from Great Britain and become our own country or stay with the king. On June 7, 1776, at the Pennsylvania State House, what is now Independence Hall, the Continental Congress heard Richard Henry Lee of Virginia read his resolution beginning, "Resolved that these united colonies are, and of a right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved." After that, the Congress adjourned for 3 weeks. But in the meantime, they appointed a committee of 5 to draft a statement presenting to the world the colony's case for independence. There were 2 New England men, John Adams of Massachusetts and Roger Sherman of Connecticut. 2 men from the middle colonies, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania and Robert Livingston of New York. And 1 Southerner, a young man, I think he was only like 33 years old, Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson was the main architect of the document. Adams and Franklin put their 2 cents in and made some minor revisions. But on July 1st, Congress reconvened. And on the following day, the Lee Resolution for Independence was adopted by 12 of the 13 colonies, New York not voting. Immediately afterward, Congress began to discuss the Declaration. It resulted in some alterations and deletions, but the basic document remained Thomas Jefferson's. The process of revision continued throughout all of July 3rd and into the late morning of July 4th. Then at last, the church bells rang out over Philadelphia. The Declaration had been officially adopted. I think it's fitting today. We heard about that 1811 celebration where the people of the town gathered on the hill just right up here to celebrate the 4th of July. Today we have Mr. John Carroll, who lives up on that hill, and he is going to read a portion of the Declaration of Independence. John.
When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former system of government. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states might of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
We'd now like to have VFW Post 2210 fire a salute to the Declaration of Independence, followed by the Sons of Union veterans of the Civil War and members of the St. Genevieve Police.
Detail, finish up. Pull. Ready? And fire. Ready? And fire. Ready? And fire. Freeze it. Pull. Order. Pull.
Thank you. Black powder is often difficult in cold weather. I'd now like to introduce the Mayor of St. Genevieve, Dick Reminger.
Good afternoon and thank you, and welcome everybody to St. Genevieve. What a great day, and what a great day to celebrate. You know, the 4th of July, out of all the holidays, maybe with the exception of New Year's, is a big party day and a great festive day. Please remember, though, that what we are all here today, probably all of us standing here today, have been able to take for granted the freedoms and the liberties that were given to us some 200-something years ago. We take it all for granted, and it's something to be gratefully thankful for. So, welcome and thank you.
I'd like to now introduce as our keynote speaker, our state representative and former state senator, Kevin Engler.
Thank you. And you now see why they didn't fight a lot of battles in the rain. It's a great day here. What beautiful weather. I'm honored to be here with you. It's always great the 4th of July to have patriotism, to show patriotism, because we always do it on the 4th of July. It's easy. Everybody gets off work. We have barbecues. We have fireworks in the park. We go buy fireworks, Chinese fireworks to blow off, which I think is kind of interesting. But there's other interesting things. I saw on TV yesterday where a fire chief was showing sparklers and a blowtorch, and lit the sparklers, the blowtorch, and the sparklers actually burned about the same heat as the blowtorch. And he said, now, who would give their 6-year-old a blowtorch to carry around the yard? And I thought to myself, yeah, you know, anybody ever give their kids sparklers? But you know, it's traditions like that that we love. But we have to be cognizant of the fact of why we do this. We should be patriotic all year round, but sometimes it's tough. It's focused upon the day because that's the day we remember the Declaration. One of the things I like most about that, do you have that with you, the final part of this? Okay. Appealing to the supreme judge, to God, and asking for God's blessing, and pledging their lives and their fortunes. Now, for those of you that aren't historians, the men that signed the Declaration of Independence, and I'm sorry for the women served, but they did not sign, and that just wasn't done at that time. Most of these men were fairly wealthy. They had farms. They had risk to take. And if you look up the history of most of these men, almost every one of them lost their fortunes by signing that declaration. And then that battle that was fought in the revolutionary times, people gave their lives. No greater love than a man has than to give his life for his friends. And if you've been in the military, though, they will tell you, I'm not fighting just for this country, I'm fighting for the guys next to me, my friends, my comrades. No greater love has a man than to lay down his life for his friends. Throughout our country's history, the revolutionary time, the War of 1812, go back and look at that. We almost lost it all in 1812, and that's just a kind of little footnote, 1812. They burned the White House down. Think of out here in Missouri, in Kansas, we were fighting the Indians, which were recruited by the British to fight against us because they didn't like the intrusion into their land. There were battles all over here just in 1812. It had to be fought again in World War I. My grandfather fought in World War I. He lived in Michigan, and we didn't get in the war for a while. And he crossed the lines and fought for Canada. Trench warfare. Laid down their lives. He was blinded early because he got gassed. The sacrifices that we've made, it had to be re-won in World War II. I'm fortunate enough to go around and talk to high schools and schools. In high school, there's nobody that's ever been alive that weren't alive when cell phones were invented, or emails, or faxes. They can't imagine a time in World War II when people left their loved ones for years. I appreciate the sacrifice the men are making right now, women are making right now, and they get to come home periodically. I know Ferd Thompson over in Farmington told me one time he went and got married to his loved one because he knew it'd be a while, and the balance of the world was ahead of them. We didn't know if we'd win, and for quite a while, it was looking bad. For almost he was in the Seabees for almost 4 years. Can you imagine? That's what I tell high schoolers. The whole time you were in high school as a senior, to be away from your spouse that you just married. Can you imagine the sacrifice and the sacrifice that she made? You get married and you have to stay home. You had to man the home front and make the money to be able to keep a house. And some of them had small children. The sacrifices that were made. In recent time, when we deploy our troops and our guard, which 1038 has been deployed 3 or 4 times. People used to ask me, what's the worst thing And the best thing about being a senator, kids, well, what's the best thing? Oh, well, you're getting to do things. What's the worst thing? I used to say, ugly people that yell at you. That's the worst thing. Not since deployment. Most of the time when I was senator and I was the highest ranking official, it was my duty to deploy the troops. There is nothing good about it. When you look in the eyes of the families that their loved one has been deployed before, they know that you can say, oh, everything's going to be fine. We'll be there for you. And for your families, yeah, you may be, but the sacrifice that we were making is nothing compared to the families. When that phone rang, and their loved one was across the seas, and there was nothing good going on back here, and the kids were having problems, and there was problems in school, and they had to suck it up and say, oh, everything's fine, honey. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just worry about keeping yourself safe. And that troop, you know what their mission is? And some of your men and women from St. Genevieve are in that unit. Their job is to detonate bombs, to go and defuse bombs on the roadside of Iraq. Yes, they've lost people. No greater love has a man to lay down their life for their fellow man and for their friends. No greater love. So what I'm going to ask you today is, I know we can't have the enthusiasm for the independence, our proud patriotism every day of the year, but we can have it when you see a veteran, when you see a person in uniform. I did it yesterday. I saw a guy that was home, and I was able to tell him, thank you for your service. And it always makes me a little nervous to tell somebody I don't know, to speak to them. If I'm in an airport, if I see somebody in uniform or I know have served, I try to tell them thank you for serving, for keeping us free. I wish you would do that. One of the neatest things, I was traveling over the 4th about 5 years ago, and it was in an airport in Denver, and some enlisted men were coming through, being deployed, and everybody stood and applauded in the airport. It made me feel good. It will make you feel good if you take the little step for your patriotic duty to tell somebody in uniform, thank you for what you did. Thank you for what you're going to do. Thank you for sacrificing for the rest of us at home. Because we can't tell the people that signed that statement, that died, that lost all their fortunes, thank you. But we can tell the people that serve today and have served that are still among us. I would ask that God continue to bless this town, bless this state, and continue to bless America. Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Have any of you ever been to the National Archives in Washington, D.C.? When you go in there, the centerpiece, as you walk in the door in the big center, there's the Declaration of Independence, the original document signed by these brave patriots. Next to it is the Constitution and a lot of other wonderful documents from America's history. I don't know if you know it or not, but the stone that surrounds the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution came from a quarry just 7 miles from here. St. Genevieve Stone now protects the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. But St. Genevieve citizens, as Kevin said, has been protecting America's freedoms throughout the years. During the American Revolution, even though we were a Spanish territory, St. Genevieve citizen soldiers responded to a request to come up and defend St. Louis against the British. We think all those battles during the American Revolution were fought out east. No, there were some fought here too, in Kaskaskia and also up in Cahokia. And then on May 30th, 1780, the Battle of Fort San Carlos. 60 soldiers from St. Genevieve, citizen soldiers, spent a number of months up in St. Louis, and one was killed during that fight, St. John. He was our first casualty in our fight to retain the freedoms that we were going to enjoy after we became a part of America in 1804. From the War of 1812 to the present day, citizens from St. Genevieve have answered the call and for our freedom and our way of life. Many have paid the ultimate sacrifice. In memory of all those who have served and are serving in our armed forces, we'd like to present a salute and a heartfelt thanks, not only to those individuals, but to their families. And Stormy Bennett will now play a tribute to our veterans and their services to our country as a thank you. To introduce Abby Fisher again, who's going to sing God Bless America.
Detail. Finish up.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide
conclude, I'd like to remind you that tonight at 7:30 out at Paramore Kent Park, north of town, the municipal band will be playing a medley or several songs related to our historic past. And then at dusk on the Yanks Field South, the Chamber of Commerce will be having our annual fireworks display, and I really encourage you to go there. For a small town, they do a marvelous job. I'd like to just give a few thank yous before we retire the colors. One is to Dina Kreitler and the Chamber of Commerce, our county commissioners, the city of St. Genevieve, John Carroll, who read our Declaration of Independence, Mayor Greminger, and Representative Engler, VFW Post 2210, our Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, the St. Genevieve Police, and another big hand for Stormy Bennett and Abby Fisher, please. I'd also like to thank you for coming out today and honoring America, and those who have pledged their sacred honor to form a new nation on July 4, 1776, and those who have fought and died to retain those freedoms. God bless you, and God bless America.
This isn't on your program, but we thought this would be a fitting time to do this. Every year, the State Department of Missouri Sons of Union Veterans pick one of their members for recognition of a member that has exemplified patriotism during the year, and for his work organizing this particular event last year and this year and hopefully many years to come. The State Department of Missouri would like to present Bob Mueller with this recognition plaque.
Thank you. That was a surprise. Let's have the VFW Post 210 now retire the colors.
Detail. Forward. Halt. Detail. Halt. Retire colors. Present. Halt. In the rear. Halt. Order. Halt.
And that concludes our ceremony here today. Have a wonderful 4th of July with your families. Enjoy the day. Enjoy this beautiful Missouri weather. And as Representative Engler said, don't forget to thank a veteran or their family. Thank you very much.